When you're an online critic, having to take criticism is pretty much in the job description. I know that anytime I review something, I'm opening myself up to other people lashing back at me. Heck, I've recently learned at least one guy thinks I'm one of the worst people in existence for what I said about Totally Spies. And yet, what surprises me the most is that I didn't get roasted alive for thinking that one certain production didn't suck. That would be the infamous Disney Channel movie High School Musical, which, yes, was a cheesy auto-tuned dramedy, but had a decent message to tell, and its songs weren't nearly as bad as some other stuff I've heard. Naturally, because it was such a major hit, a sequel was inevitable, and that means I clearly have a sequel review to do. Yes, I'll have to review that too one day, but not before I assemble a damn army! For now, let's look into High School Musical 2. The movie naturally opens at East High, which seems noticeably quieter than the last time we saw it. That's because it's the last day of school and everyone is, well...
We're waiting for the clock to strike 3. Come on, stupid clock, please strike 3.
Oh, who am I kidding? You know they have their own music for this!
What time is it? Summertime. It's our vacation. What time is it? Party time. That's right, say it loud.
So after an opening number about all their upcoming freedom of the summer, we move to the kids talking about getting summer jobs. Wait, what the what?
My parents keep talking about how much college is gonna cost.
Because apparently these guys who just won a state championship aren't getting scholarship offers from half the colleges in the region.
Sharpay, we got off to a rough start, but you really came through. I mean, you helped me with the winter musical.
Cha, that was last movie. I've had like 5 months to recharge my bitch battery. So while Troy and Gabriella are looking for a way to get jobs while still having the time to be together, Sharpay has got her sights set on boy toy Troy, who she showed maybe 5 seconds of interest in last movie. So is this the plot she spent the whole semester dreaming up in order to get back at Gabriella for getting the lead role over her? Geez, Doofenshmirtz would laugh at this girl's evil plans.
Troy. Sharpay.
Sure.
It just makes sense.
Evidently not to Troy.
But it's summer, Rye. Everything changes.
Man, my sister may look like that candy counter girl in that hotel we stayed at in Boston, but she acts nothing like her. This leads to Sharpay pulling strings to get Troy a job at her family's country club in the middle of the desert, which Sharpay and Ryan drive to in her pink Mustang. Okay, I guess that's somewhat original. Oh, and guess what? There's going to be a talent show at the club. Yep, we're gonna do this again. So as we're introduced to Sharpay's entourage, like this is Disney's version of Clueless, and she gripes more about what happened to her drama department at school, it occurs to me this has been nearly 15 minutes since the last musical number, so we're overdue!
I want fabulous, that is my simple request. All things fabulous, bigger and better in this.
Something tells me I should be ridiculing this, but all I can think of is, was Carmella from WWE inspired by Sharpay Evans? But the Princess of Albuquerque soon sees a wrench thrown into her plans when it's revealed Troy brought company to the club.
What are you doing here?
I'm the new lifeguard.
I told you to hire Troy Bolton, not the entire East High student body. Why didn't you warn me about the rest of them?
I did discuss the matter with the Lava Springs board, of course.
You mean our...
And believe it or not, Ashley Tisdale is still delivering only the second hammiest performance in this entire movie. So now Sharpay tries to work with the manager to try to get everyone else to quit by making their jobs hell, but that's not going to be so easy because, hey, they can always sing the troubles away!
We've got to work this out. We'll make things right. The sun will shine. If we work, there'll be no doubt.
Yeah, it doesn't seem quite as good when you can't put everything in place with a snap of the fingers or summon birds to help you. And that does bring us to another of the major issues with this movie. The songs in this one seem kind of forced. Like they struggled to come up with good ones for all the situations they felt would require one. And quite a few of them just come out kind of meh. Troy and Gabriella finally get some alone time picnicking on the golf course, and we see that this story is supposed to be about more than just a whole class struggle. Troy is all concerned about affording college because he's not certain about that basketball scholarship and his family's not rich like Sharpay's. Yet they were able to spend that winter at that ski lodge where he first met Gabriella. And this is the cause of the conflict between him worrying about his future while Gabriella is just wanting to focus on the present. Not sure which Shakespeare play this is meant to be based on, but whatever. So next we get to Troy and Gabby meeting up with Kelsey again and talking about the talent show, which Troy doesn't seem that interested in, but of course Kelsey just happened to write a musical number for the two of them.
When I hear my favorite song, I know that we belong. You are the music in me.
Kelsey, these two are already constantly looking at each other like they're gonna end up the subjects of a teen pregnancy special. They don't need you playing matchmaker for them.
Maybe we can work this out, but only if we're all in this together.
I mean, we devoted the whole end of that last movie to that message. We gotta stick to it. Anyway, this all leads to Sharpay kicking her plans into overdrive by getting Troy moved to working at the golf course so she can keep him by her side at all times. This begins to not sit well with Chad and the others, or Ryan for that matter. Yeah, as Sharpay essentially ditches her brother for a guy she can actually dream of procreating with, and Troy is being drawn into the high life, Ryan starts getting invited to hang out with the staff, starting with this baseball game where we get, well...
You don't think dancing takes some game? You got game?
I don't dance. I know you can. Not a chance. No. If I can do this, well, you can do that. But I don't dance. Get it out of the park.
Oh yeah, this thing is gonna give Damn Yankees a real run for its money, I'm sure. Though, to be honest, this is probably the most entertaining song of the movie, just from how over the top it gets. I don't know, maybe it's just seeing dance and baseball getting combined into something so gloriously cheesy that does it for me. And yeah, turns out that Ryan Evans pitched for a Little League championship team. Who knew? And this is the part of the movie a lot of people did end up liking, that Ryan probably underwent the most character development of anyone. He kind of felt like he was just there in the first movie, and that could have been natural because he was in his sister's more bombastic shadow all of the time. But now he gets the chance to branch out on his own, and we see that he does have a better time fitting in with everyone else when he actually gets a chance to talk and be himself. A lot of credit has to go to Lucas Grable, who reportedly did a lot of work on his own, adding little traits that would make his character stand out. It undoubtedly worked, as he absolutely steals the show here. Oh yeah, there's also this running gag in the movie about Kelsey and Ryan wearing different hats in every new scene they're in. Wait, how do they not become a whole different character when they put on a new hat? That doesn't happen to everybody? Meanwhile, there's all sorts of tension going on because Troy is getting all these opportunities that no one else is, and here's where the movie's conflict runs into a wall. It seems like they're trying for a scenario where Troy is forgetting where he came from and abandoning his friends in favor of the fast track to everything he's pursuing, but Chad and the others aren't coming off as sympathetic either. I mean, it's an unfortunate truth that many people get ahead in life from the connections they make more so than how hard of a worker they are. And you can't tell me that Chad or anyone else wouldn't jump at the same opportunities if they were offered them. So they ultimately come off as jealous and just as whiny as, well, Sharpay! Speaking of which, Sharpay puts together her whole Broadway-style musical number with Troy, but of course she's still paranoid about what the East High gang is going to do, so she gets the manager to ban the whole staff from the talent show. And this is what puts the manager into the whole X years until retirement phase. It's also what pushes Gabriella to the breaking point and she quits working at the club.
We might find a place in this world sometime. go my own way.
So, with all of his friends not wanting to have anything to do with him and wondering if he's picked the right path after all, this leads to, well, the most infamous moment in the whole movie.
I'm not gonna stop, that's who I am. I'll give it all I got, that is my plan. Will I find what I lost? You know you can't. Bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet on it.
Just drink it in, man. This entire number will be studied in film and musical theater classes for years on how to make an angsty, tragic moment of self-doubt and reflection and fail in the most glorious and hilarious way possible. So Troy tells Sharpay he won't do the number with her and is going back to the kitchen, supposedly throwing away his future by not performing a duet in front of all the university boosters that will be in attendance. Weren't they interested in him for his basketball game and not singing? And this, of course, leads to him making up with all of his buds, while not even Ryan will back up Sharpay in this case, but Troy does agree to perform with Sharpay if the Wildcats are allowed to perform as well. And I have to admit, this is when we finally do see that Sharpay might have a good side to her after all.
You're a good guy, Troy. Actually, right now, I think I like you better than I like myself.
That took 10 seconds and it was a better scene of reflection than Troy's whole musical wanks. See why I said Ashley was probably this franchise's best talent? But it turns out the whole thing was a setup by Ryan and the Wildcats to get Troy on stage so he could sing a whole different number. But with who?
Make it last forever and never give it back.
Where did she come from?
Loving where we're at.
How did she know all of this was going to happen?
Every day of our lives.
Wanna find you there, wanna hold on tight.
This whole thing makes less sense than half of what happened in Lost. We're just going to roll with it? Okay.
Every day of our lives. Wanna find you there, wanna hold on tight.
So this all leads to Ryan winning the talent show award somehow. Troy and Gabriella get their whole "we're just gonna live for the moment. And the movie ends with one big pool party musical number where they sneak in a Miley Cyrus cameo.
Work is done. Come on, everyone, let's dance. We can't let the moment pass. Let's make the party last. All for one.
So yeah, High School Musical 2 may be the most forced sequel I've ever seen. You knew a second movie was coming from how much the first one exploded, but this one just suffers from trying too hard at just about everything. There was effort to be sure, but they tried to give it its own identity with the new setting and supposedly new conflict, but rehash a lot of the same elements from the first one as well. Not at Home Alone level, but still pretty obvious. They try to give every character some sort of tragic flaw while making them all sympathetic in some way. There are some characters that get some good depth, but others sadly have theirs wrecked from what we saw from them before. Ultimately, the story isn't that engrossing or believable as a conflict, and the songs just aren't as catchy as before, and for all the over-the-top antics, the whole thing just comes off as blah. Did they pick things up with the third movie and its theatrical release? Maybe we'll see one day, but for now, enjoy the rest of your summer, everyone. May you find joy in whatever passes for your version of the happiest place on earth.